right, thanks for joining me on another episode of Why Not Go, the channel dedicated to rock and roll, especially punk and especially the Sex Pistols. My name is Maggie, and thanks for the comments. I love the comments that people put in the videos. And so today is January 14th, and as most Sex Pistols fans know, this is a sad day in their history. This was the last show on the American tour, January 14th, 1978, which is 47 years ago today. And after that, the members went their separate ways. Steve and Paul went to Brazil with Malcolm. Sid went back to Nancy in London and in Maida and Pindock Mews. And Johnny went to New York, and then he went back to London, and I think pretty soon thereafter started forming PIL. So yes, today was that last final concert at Winterland in San Francisco. And my last video I did was on the whole tour in January of 1978, as told by their tour manager, Noel Monk, who wrote this book here. And I'll put a link in the description of the video, this video, if you haven't seen that one. I go into great detail on the whole tour, which I went to 3 dates on. I went to 2 in Texas and one their Tulsa gig. And I uploaded a video last year. I'll put a link in this video as well. I did a video last year on my personal experience of going to see the Sex Pistols and the 3 dates that I went to. So yes, this was their final date. I'll show a couple of pictures here of them on stage. I wish I had gone, big regret of mine, but I didn't go. And but in this video, I wanted to talk about the 2 opening bands, because I think they're very interesting bands in their own right. San Francisco had a very vibrant punk rock scene at the time. I remember that. And these were 2 of the bands, the Nuns and the Avengers. The Nuns went on first. I'll show a picture here of the 3 principal members of the Nuns. On the left is Alejandro Escovedo, a very interesting guy as well. He was a guitar player, and his niece was, or is, Sheila E., who used to work with Prince, and his brother was in the band The Zeros, the punk band. I remember them. They were really good. And in the middle is Jennifer Myro, the singer and keyboard player. I loved her. She was, to me, she was like a combination of Nico and Veronica Lake, the old 40s movie star. I loved her. I thought she had a great voice. She was kind of early goth, and very talented young woman. And on the right is Jeff Oliner. He was the singer in the band, the main singer. So these were the principal members. And they formed in 1975, and Escovedo and Oliner, they were going to film school. I love this story. They were going to film school, and they were doing a film on a band, a fictional band that was strung out on drugs and couldn't play their instruments. And then they decided, hey, why don't we just play the band? And that's so funny. And they played the part themselves, and so they started rehearsing. They were rehearsing in a warehouse somewhere. And in a nearby studio was Jennifer Miro. I don't know if it's Myro or Miro, how you pronounce her name. And she was in a Doobie Brothers band, like a band doing like Doobie Brothers cover songs, I believe. And she didn't like the band she was in. She heard Escovedo and Oliner playing in the studio, and she says, hey, I want to join your band. So the Nuns was born. And they were very popular early punk band. And they were one of the first bands to play at the Mabuhay. And at the peak of their popularity, they were playing 2 sold-out shows on the weekends at the Mabuhay. They were actually more popular than the Avengers at the time. And their manager, who discovered them, their first manager discovered them at the Mabuhay because they opened up for the Ramones. So they were really, as I said, they were really popular on the San Francisco scene. And later, they around the time they opened at the Winterland for the Sex Pistols, they caught the attention of Bill Graham, who was, I believe, the owner of the Winterland. He was a big concert promoter at the time, and he wanted to manage them, but they had a song called Decadent Jew, which Olener sang. I believe he was Jewish, and Bill Graham didn't like the name of the song, and he decided not to manage them. So they continued on, but they eventually broke up. I believe it was late 1978. They were touring in New York City, and I guess Escovedo was kind of fed up with the band, and he decided to stay. He lived at the Chelsea Hotel, and Olener and Jennifer Myro, I guess I'll pronounce it Myro, Jennifer Myro came back, and they kind of continued the band on and off. And then in 1980, they got a deal to do an album, but by this time, Escovedo was already out of the band, so they did the album without him. And I love the cover of this album. I just thought, not only did they write great songs, but their image was so fantastic. And it was released in 1980. It was just called The Nuns. And I just thought this album was just fantastic. They were inactive, I guess, for a few years in the early 80s. And then in 1986, Jeff Olener and Jennifer Myro reunited, started up the Nuns again, and they released another album called Romania. And then after that, there was several different incarnations of the Nuns, but always with Olener and Jennifer Myro. She became a fetish model in the 90s, and they were both in New York, and they played together again. I guess the sound was more gothic then. As I said, I always loved their sound in the 70s. I thought it was so punk, but kind of gothic as well. They were very, they weren't just a traditional punk band at all. And I just love them. Unfortunately, she passed away in 2012, I believe at the age of 54. And she was working at the time as a receptionist in a lawyer's office. I don't know. I find that sad because I just thought she was such a star in my eyes. She had liver cancer and breast cancer. So she passed away in 2011. Jennifer Myro, and then Jeff Olener, he passed away in 2014. But Alejandro Escovedo, he's still going. I'll show a couple of pictures here of him. One was taken a few years ago, and then the second one is current. He's now 74 years old. And after he was in New York, he went on to, he moved to Austin, and he teamed up with the Kinman brothers, Chip and Tony Kinman. I remember them. They had a band in LA called the Dills. I actually interviewed them for my fanzine Blank Generation, and they went on to form a very big kind of Americana band called Rank and File with Escovedo. And he made several albums over the years, and is still a working musician. So I love that, Alejandro Escovedo. And so yes, the Nuns were very influential early punk band from San Francisco. And as I said, I love them. I thought that they really had, they weren't a traditional punk band, but they were a punk band. And so I'll show a couple clips here, portions of their songs on this day 47 years ago. The first song they perform is Lazy. I just love this song. It's a slow song, and then I'll show a bit of Decadent Jew, the song that upset Bill Graham. And the last song is called You Like to Bleed, where Jennifer Myro takes over vocals again. So this is the Nuns opening up for the Sex Pistols on this day 47 years ago.
I'm lazy, so lazy, I'm too lazy to fall in love. It's such a bother, I'd much rather stay home and watch TV. Some say it's thrilling and can't live without it. But darling, I do very well without it. Lazy, so lazy, I'm too lazy to fall in love. It's such a bother, I'd much rather stay home and watch TV. Just stay home and watch TV. Just stay home and watch TV.
Ain't the niggas and the Puerto Ricans on the mama. Decadent Jew. Decadent Jew. Decadent Jew. Hey you, Israelites. You know this Jew ain't about to fight. Screw you, 'cause I'm a Decadent Jew.
So after the Nuns played, then the next band was the Avengers. And the Avengers were not as popular as the Nuns. I always wondered about that, but it was answered in Noel Monk's book that I referenced in my last video. And he said the reason why they got that prime slot just before the Sex Pistols played was because they had a connection with the Sex Pistols. They already knew Rory Johnston, their American representative, the guy that I knew as well. And I think he went on to manage them. And so because of that connection, they got a better time slot than the Nuns did. So they were formed in 1977, and Penelope Houston was their singer, very, very good-looking woman, and Danny Furious was their drummer, Greg Ingraham, their original guitarist, and Jonathan Postal was their bass player. And they played the Mabuhay, and I'm sure other clubs at the time as well. And they released, when they were together, they broke up, similar to the Nuns, they initially broke up pretty soon after they formed. They broke up in 1979, and while that original lineup was together, they only produced one EP. It was called We Are the One, and I'll play that song in a little bit. And then afterwards, again, probably because their connection with the Sex Pistols American rep, Steve Jones worked with them and produced some tracks with them. And those were released later on. I believe they weren't released until 1983, the Steve Jones produced songs. They were on an album just called The Avengers. I guess it was kind of a compilation album. So she went on, Penelope Houston, after the Avengers broke up, she went on to become a folk singer, and she was signed by Warner Brothers, WEA Germany, the Warner Brothers, I guess, in Germany, and apparently she received several awards and also released several solo albums. And I haven't heard her solo work, but apparently it's very kind of dark folk music, so it's probably not traditional folk music. But she went on to have a good solo career doing that. And then around 2004, she resurrected the Avengers with the original guitar player. And Joe and I saw them in 2014 in LA. They played with the Weirdos and the Zeros. And the Zeros had the connection with Escovedo from the Nuns. And I always liked the Zeros. They were a Hispanic punk band, and that was a great night. And she still sounded great. I'll show a few pictures, couple pictures here of how she looks more recently. And so they're still going. I believe she's still with that original guitar player. And they recently just toured with the Damned, and they were the opening act for the Damned's 2024 tour. I believe they opened for them all over Europe and the U.S., so that was great for them. So they're still going, the Avengers, and I'll play their most well-known song from that time, and it's called "We Are the One," also from that night, January 14th, 1978. So those were the two bands that opened up for the Sex Pistols on this day, 47 years ago. Quite a concert, huh? You got to see the amazing the Nuns. I love the Nuns. And then you got to see the Avengers, very good local punk rock group. And then you got to see the Sex Pistols. I mean, what a night. What a wonderful night in punk rock history. I'm sad the Sex Pistols broke up after this show. I went into detail on that in my last video, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I just wanted to talk about the bands that that opened up for them that night. It's kind of interesting. They both had female lead singers. I thought that was really neat as well. So thanks for watching. As always, until the next time, I'll be seeing you.